I can't see zero. Are we live? Are we there?
You are
Hello?
live.
Hello? Is this thing on?
It's working, and you
Oh,
guys are live going throughout the network.
okay. Nothing like those last minute technical difficulties. Way to go, interwebs. Okay. Hey, everybody. It's Mark from Needlejig. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a little while since I've done one of these talks with an old friend. We've all been really busy lately. So not making excuses to anybody because you should be able to understand the world is not the way it used to be. So anyways, today we're going to be talking to Mr. Sean Ozz, a guy I've known for 20 plus years. I first met Sean at Inkslinger's Ball, Gil show at the Palladium in Hollywood, California, back in the mid
I have to be
90s,
there.
probably, I want to say.
I'd say early 90s.
Early 90s. Yeah, I think 94 was the first year I went to Inkslingers. So, and I bet you either that first year there or maybe the second year there. I know I found my way into your booth because you were specializing in like the biomechanical tattoo types back then. And that was something that truly intrigued me and just enjoyed the living crap out of it. So me being the ignorant idiot that I am, just sort of wander into people's booths that I had an interest in knowing and be like, hey, you're a tattooer, I'm a tattooer. Let's be tattooers together and be friends. And I think that worked out all right. So
So I
but
think
yeah,
when we met, Mark, you were just making that first jig.
we met before that. I'm
Oh,
guarantee because the first jigs I took to Inkslingers were probably 99, I want to say. Could be
okay.
98, but probably 99 was the first year that I
Well,
took
I
the
remember
jigs
you
there.
bringing them there. So I do
Yeah.
remember that you having those, and then you had the needle grouping jig, and you were so stoked because nobody had anything like the way you were making them on the market yet.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but we definitely knew each other prior to that, just at that show though, really mostly that was our only real interaction. But we I had a big interest in Guy's work for sure, and I'd been to his seminars and whatnot. And so, I always sought out guys like you and Aaron Kane and other people that, dabbled in that area for sure. So, but the one tattoo the one experience I remember you for the most, even though you've done some really sick work over the years. I remember walking across the floor in Inkslingers one year and walking by your booth. I think you had a nice corner spot. I come around the corner and there you are tattooing this young lady's nipples, just plain blue stars. And I'm like, I know your skill set's a bit up and beyond that. And so it was done for the shock factor and draw people to your booth and get you attention
Oh
and
yeah,
probably made you a
that it
bunch of
did.
money. Yeah, I'm sure it made you a bunch of money, but yeah, that was like, just walking around the corner and there's a naked young lady in your chair. And I'm like, that was something I don't think you saw that often back then at shows. Like nowadays you walk around a show and it's not that startling or surprising. It's not commonplace, but it's there. Like, but I think that was the first time I'd seen that at a show was
That's
when you did
awesome.
it. So yeah, that
That's
was
really awesome to
that
hear.
was that. Yeah, it's sad to think that that's the one like big memory I have of you and your tattoos is blue nipples, blue star nipples.
You
So
think? What do you think of Sean Oz? Ah, blue titties.
blue blue nipples. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but
Oh, that's great.
yeah, no, I mean, I think of your work for sure, your bio work and then other stuff you've done throughout the years. But I will say that one thing I really want to touch on today is like you've been tattooing as long as I have, probably even a little bit longer.
I
Um,
hit 28 years this month.
okay, so yeah, we're in the same ballpark, or I might have a year on you then, because I started in '92. So
Okay. Yeah. I think you have a
and
year on me. I think I was 93.
okay, so then yeah, it must have been mid '90s then that I saw you at Inkslingers, because I don't think you
Yeah.
went as a absolute noob, did you?
No, it's probably, let's see, 93. So I did a year of an apprenticeship with John Stuckey out in Houston, worked in Venice Beach for a year, and then back. So it's probably my third year that I went to Inkslingers.
Okay, so
So I'd
maybe
say 96.
96-ish. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds about right, really. And but anyways, you were always obviously good at marketing, getting attention, things like that. You knew how to stand out. Let's just say that, I guess. I also still have a white T-shirt from you that I won't. We
Yes.
won't discuss it. We won't discuss it. We won't. It's not appropriate this day and age for sure. But I still have that T-shirt buried in a closet in a box somewhere because I just can't throw it away. But
I have a white one and a black one in the back of my closet somewhere.
yeah. So, but I
Oh,
remember
those things
that.
were hot. Those
Yeah,
things were hot at the ball, man. Everybody loved those.
Things you could say back in the day and not upset the entire world. But anyways, so you've always had a little knack for marketing, drawing people's attention and whatnot. And where I definitely want to talk about your tattooing, your history, your apprenticeship, let the world know a little bit more about that. What I'd like to focus on today is your side hustle, what else you've done, because we're in a world where everybody kind of needs a side hustle these days. Everything's more expensive. You've got to do something to help yourself because nobody's going to do it for you. And you got into drones right when they were, just starting, when the hobby was just starting. And then on top of you getting into drones, which are everywhere now, you also started filming and doing the YouTube, when it wasn't even a thing. You've been doing YouTube for what, 9 years now? 10 years? 9?
Yeah, well, technically, I started YouTube in 2008, and I was doing a lot of zombie tutorial makeup because I got super into the bloody stuff, which from that side hustle I did with Skinned Ink for a while there, and then when I moved up here and opened the shop, time became so precious. I just didn't have the time for it anymore.
But no, I mean, you've always had something. I mean, I remember you used to do like mess with the silicone latex, whatever, makeup stuff like that. That turned into your fake skin product, which is kick ass. And if you had time, that could continue to be a cool product and grow. But what you've done with YouTube is pretty amazing.
So I'd say it was 2016 that I decided, I could actually get serious about YouTube. Yeah. And it is a hustle to grow YouTube. It is so hard.
Maybe that's why I'm failing. I don't want to work that hard.
You got to love it because you don't get paid crap at first, right? So, I mean, YouTube is so much work before you start seeing a dime out of it. But there's unlimited potential to make so much money with YouTube.
Now, my goal is to share stories and obviously, promote my company and my products and stuff like that too, but not in a, infomercial type of setting.
Yeah.
I don't plan on really monetizing this and selling commercial space and all that other fun stuff like that. So our goals are different. I obviously want this to become successful because I want to pass on knowledge, but I mean, you're doing it. Your editing is awesome.
Thanks, man.
You've been doing this for a long time now, and it's like anything else. They say 10,000 hours to master anything. Well, I think you've probably devoted 10,000 hours to YouTube by now, in filming and editing and all that other good stuff. So
it was tricky when I started YouTube, Mark, or when I first started it even, but we'll just go from 2016. Okay. I've always been like, well, I've been tattooing, now 28 years. Should I make a tattoo channel? Right. But I came from the generation where we don't just put our secrets and how to tattoo on the internet. Like that was so downed upon because it was like, you don't teach brain surgery online. You shouldn't teach tattooing online. So that's why my channel never ever went that way. Like I could have blown up a long time ago if I had just started in 2016, just sharing tattoo information and doing that and making the same way I make videos now that way. But it never felt right. It didn't feel the right way. I felt like if someone's going to learn, they should learn hands-on with somebody.
Yeah, so we have that discussion here. Like we have our, little meetings, me and Gabe and Fernando, we sit down and we talk about it. And I'm the one that's the most resistant to doing almost anything. And we don't talk about technique and, stuff like that. It's like, we'll touch on things or whatever, but there's no way in the world somebody's going to learn how to tattoo properly from a video. And if they think they're going to learn from watching YouTube, well, they're beyond help to start with. And I'm not even going to get into that discussion and that argument too much, but I felt the same way. So that's why this channel steers more towards talking to other tattooers, mainly just to counterbalance the reality TV or, tattooer world out there. Cause we're just people. We're normal everyday people. We're not on a pedestal. We're not special, even though some artists think they are. And I want people to understand that, like we're down to earth people. And on top of that, the tattoo family's been some of the best people I've ever known. Maybe I haven't been exposed to a lot of good people, but overall, like the tattoo community has done amazing things for me and my family, and it's just awesome. And I think you've experienced the same. And I want people to realize that we're a community, that we will do what we can to help each other, support each other. You and I will talk and message in the background or whatever about YouTube or about marketing or about other things. And I want to bring a lot of those ideas to the public because I like to help other tattooers that I know and like achieve that level of success. I want to be successful. When I get there, I want to be surrounded by other people that I like. So
yeah, and when you surround yourself with other people that have that drive and that want, then it helps you continue that drive and that want to bump your game up. It really does.
Yeah, you feed off each other. I want to introduce an idea to you, see where you take it. And then I'll look at the results of your work, and hopefully that inspires me to take it to a different level or a different direction, and we'll just continually, you, me, and others, continually fine tune any particular idea and slowly optimize it, try and figure out the most efficient way to achieve anything.
And it's funny you say that, because like going back to when you met me and I was doing like organic and bio work. Prior to me, it was really just Aaron Kane and Guy Aitchison and the guy I was working with, Dean DeKine at the time. Or actually, I worked with him a little bit before. I think I started doing Inkslingers all the time. So
that's a name
Dean
I haven't
DeKine,
heard in a while.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of I think graphics and movie work. I think now
Nice.
He got out of tattooing. I think he might do it occasionally, but he's not doing it full time anymore. But back then, everybody was like, "Oh, you got to be completely original. You're a copycat." And it was also let me think. Who was it? Ron Earhart. Ron Earhart was copying. And I can say that because Ron and I have talked about this a lot, because we both went through the same thing. At that time, he was copying Aaron Kane, and I was basically copying Guy Aitchison style, not copying their tattoos, but taking their influence and then trying to turn it into our own thing. And we used to get so much crap, he and I both. Oh, you're just copycat artists, all this stuff. But we were trying to grow and make it our own. And by emulating that is sort of how some people find themselves. And I can remember getting so much crap about it at the time because nobody else was doing it besides those two guys and us two guys and Dean, of course. And I was at Orlando's convention. Did you used to go to his too? I think you did. Like,
in El Paso?
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows, man.
Oh,
Going to Juarez,
so
getting drunk in Juarez every night. And now you
Orlando was such a good host too, right? He was such a good host. Yeah. I was there once, and this is in the heat of when I was getting slack all the time, starting to get into magazine covers and stuff. And Dino Cook, who I mad respected at the time, I will still do, but came up to my booth and was looking at my pictures and just looking, and I was like, oh crap, here it goes again. I'm going to get ragged on somebody that I look up to. And he asked me, did you do this? And I was like, oh, here it comes, thinking that he was just going to be like, you're a copycat, and walks back in the booth and gets close to me while I'm tattooing and tells me, hey, I was at Guy's house just a few weeks ago, and this cover, we were talking about it. And I just thought you might like to know that Guy said at the time, this is at the time, obviously it's blown up since then. What you're doing at that time, now there's a few more people by now trying to do this stuff. What you're doing is cool because it respects what you're doing, because you're taking it and changing it into your own look. And at that time, I was trying to do this more cartoony kind of bubbly look with it, of the organic stuff. So I took that as just the biggest compliment ever to have somebody you look up to come in and say, hey, don't sweat everybody else. You just keep doing you, because the guy who actually invented this style is cool with it.
Yeah, it's sort of like a new schooly sort of organic type of thing.
Yeah.
But and that's cool. And like guy's not one to complain about anything anyways. And not to mention he was out there teaching.
Yeah, right.
Teaching his methods and his thought process and stuff like that. So he couldn't get mad if he wanted to, but I mean, he's just not that kind of, he's not that kind of guy. So no pun intended. But that's an awesome compliment, man. That is, I'm sure your head swole.
It felt less.
If it didn't,
I wouldn't say swole, but no, I mean, I don't know. It didn't swell, but it definitely made me feel like, okay, let me keep pushing. Let me see where I can go next with this.
Nice. And then okay, so we tattooed, together on and off throughout the years at Ink Slingers in El Paso, and I don't know, maybe another show or two out there. I was doing shows in the Southwest. Then after 9/11, things got really wonky.
Because you were at those shows too, right?
Yeah.
We did the Massachusetts Paul Booth show and Mario Barr show.
Yeah, I wasn't doing anything East Coast. Mario wanted me to come out to his show for a while, and I just didn't want to travel that far.
That was just the one right after 9/11 when we did the Art Fusion for the first time at Paul's show. And I remember because all the planes were shut down, right? The buildings came down and everything was shut down. I mean, you think things are crazy now, but that was crazy. Yeah. That was a crazy time.
I remember we ended up packing up all the shop's gear. I think most of us had plans to fly out to Hollywood that year or whatever, and there was no flying, so we packed up most of the shop stuff into my pickup truck. Had a cap on the back of it, and I ended up driving out in my Corvette just because more seating space or whatever, and it was very tense weekend. A lot of people couldn't make it. Attendance was low. Just all kinds of weird stuff. I ended up parking my car in a parking garage, and there was a language barrier. And when I went to pick up my car on Sunday night, it was towed because
that sucks.
Sucks. Well, because I offered to pay in advance and they said no, and apparently they want you to pay it daily, but I didn't understand. And I went back, I was like, no, just so I could just pay at the end. And nope, apparently they towed my car, and then nobody could tell me what my car was because it was like midnight on a Sunday night. It was total chaos. I ended up tracking the car down, having to pay a fortune to get it back, and it was an interesting weekend to say the least. But anyway, so that went downhill. Ink Slingers pretty much disappeared right after that because they were going to remodel the Palladium entirely.
Yeah.
So that whole thing phased out. Queen Mary was picking up, and I never did that. And
I never had a booth at that one, but I've gone to it a few times because I live down the road from there. So, but I never did get a booth at that one.
And then you disappeared out of California shortly after. I
did.
That, right? You went to Texas.
So long story short, I became a single father. The mother was no longer in the picture, so I took him to where the grandparents were, thinking I'd moved to Texas and just picked right up with the bookings I had and the same style and everything. And nope, nobody wanted organic stuff in Texas at all. It was like pulling teeth to do any of it. So I felt like I was starting over, like just people coming in getting suns and butterflies and right from the ground floor up, because we didn't have the internet really all over the place at that time. It was a little bit then, but not like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was much harder to promote yourself.
You had to start over.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
And
then Texas was there for many, many years. And finally you build up a clientele again, just like anything else. And then moved up to Colorado about 4 years ago and opened a tattoo shop up here in the Rocky Mountains. And where I'm the only full-time guy at that place. Like I could reach out and hire. Maybe one of these days I will if the right person comes along. But you know how it is. You're with whoever you work with in a tattoo studio more than you are with your family. Mm-hmm. So you got to like them, right? They can't just be good. You got to like them too.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, too, when you work with other people, you're going to learn something. You're
Yeah.
going to learn and grow, or you're going to learn what not to do, what to
Yeah.
avoid. But don't you miss that shop camaraderie? Or I mean,
Sometimes, but like I feel like I'm so used to it over 4 years. I have guest artists that come in, and if anybody watches this and they want to check out Summoning Tattoo and consider coming up to guest artist, I'm always open. It's a pretty busy shop. I turn away. Yesterday, not yesterday, the day before, I turned away, I think maybe 15 people because it's just me. So, what are you going to do? You can't do
you hear that,
everybody. It's a
people?
big,
You want a job? Not a douchebag. Get a hold of Sean.
but the shop's been good. I say we, I always talk about it like it's plural, like there's more than me there, but it's just me. So, but it's done well, like it's 4 years there. It's in a nice public area. It's a touristy place. So it reminds me a little bit about when I worked in Venice Beach. So it's been a struggle also then rebuilding to get more of that custom clientele. But at the same time, you have so many walk-ins getting little mountain souvenirs and little tattoos. It keeps you grounded. You don't have time to swell because you're just doing your own art. I find a lot of artists when they're doing nothing but their own art, not all, but a lot of them, they get a little big-headed. They think they don't smell,
They forget they're in a customer service industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that is what we're supposed to be doing until you reach a certain level. But a lot of people think they're at that level, but they're not. They can't even see that level from where they're at, really. But they're, they just, you know how it is.
But doing this journey of the up and down, it grounded me, right? Like, so I think most artists in that 5-year mark, they get this big head and they think, oh, everyone's telling us we're so good, we're so great, and we get big headed. If you don't, it's amazing because almost every artist does at some point. Some of us come through, that bubble pops and we realize, oh, we're just people. And those are the ones that you really make the good friends with, over the years.
Well, there's those that just, they last, I refer to that as like apprentices I can deal with no problem. I have no problem putting an apprentice in their place. But it's the people, the artists that I typically, and it's not all, but like typically what I find is artists in the 3 to 5 year period seem to get to that point where they're like, they know enough where they feel they know it all and they no longer need any guidance or help or that becomes a problem. And hopefully somewhere in that period, somebody bursts that bubble on them and they can come back down and maintain, normal relationships with the rest of us, so.
Yeah.
Because we don't have time for that. I mean, I don't know. You have any time. You're a solid tattooer. You run a small but successful shop, obviously, and you're killing it on the YouTube. I reached out to you when we started doing this, talking just a little bit because I knew you were doing it successfully, and I want to say I can't remember the numbers we were talking about. You just hit a certain thing, and I said, "Oh, no problem." I go, from what I've been viewing, I'm like, you'll probably be at 10,000 viewers by the end of the year. And I think I called that like just about perfectly. And you were like, no, that won't happen. It would be cool, but it won't happen. And I was like, and you did. It grows exponentially after a certain
point. It snowballs as long as you stay on it. So last year at this time, I think I had about 11,000 subscribers. I should hit 28 either today or tomorrow. So I'm this close to 30 in a year's time. And to get to that 11,000, that was going from 2016 hardcore, up until this point. So,
well, I want to say it was 2 years ago or so that we started doing this, and I reached out to you, and I want to say you were just coming up on 5,000 or something like that. And I told you were going to be at 10,000, and you were like, that's not going to happen. I don't think so. It's going to take longer. And that was it. It just went insane from then. I mean, so if you're going to hit 28,000, that means you've gone about 6x since.
It's this last year has like been great, and if it keeps snowballing, like I've had a setback. Like come March, my long-term 10-year girlfriend moved to California, and we sort of through COVID went our own ways. So sucks, it's man. Long story, but on the positive side,
you set the drone in the bathroom window.
You remember that one? Right?
Oh yeah, that was a good video.
Oh, that's funny. I have a video premiering tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. If you're up, you should check it out because when you premiere them, there's a live chat stream just like this that people can get in and share their reactions as they watch it. And I went out and visited my father and another YouTube guy called Ready Set Drone. That guy's got almost 200,000 subscribers. Wow. And we went out with shotguns and skeet and an FPV drone. If you're not familiar with what one of those is, it's the ones you put the goggles on and it's like you're sitting on it and it can do acrobats and all that kind of stuff. And he had a small one and he flew it around. I took the shotgun trying to shoot it out of the sky. And it's technically a felony to shoot down a drone.
Ooh.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's our drone.
And you filmed this felony.
Yeah, and we filmed the felony. So it's going live tonight and it's a fun video.
FAA will be knocking on your door at 9 o'clock Mountain Time.
Right, we shall see.
Now, do you have to deal with a FSDO out there, or if you have any I'm getting back into aviation myself, so like I'm just curious. You have to deal with the FSDO.
What's like the FSDO?
Federal standards.
So where I live now, it's a smaller town. It's Summit County. So I live in Dillon. My shop's in Silverthorne. I think in my town, there's maybe 9,000 people that live here year round, but there's over 150. Well, now there's probably over 200,000 people here at any given time just because of tourism. Since COVID has let us all reopen, it has been so crazy busy. Like just people moving here and the housing market's crazy. Lumber is crazy. But this town has been affected to the point that they don't even have enough drivers to drive big rigs to get gas to our town right now because of the shortage of employees.
Everybody's struggling there. But anyways, FSDO is FSDO. It's Flight Standards District Offices, and they're kind of like the regulatory agencies for like any pilot infractions and stuff like this. And I know you need to abide by. Well, you have to be licensed.
The FAA laws or regulations and guidelines is what they don't call them laws. I think they call them just regulations and guidelines. You can be fined for breaking some of those with a drone. I know someone right now that's in the YouTube community. He's got over $160,000 in fines from posting videos flying over cities and stuff.
Yeah, but if he's making $500,000, what does he care?
He's not. He's a smaller channel.
Oh, okay.
But you know, they're never going to get a dime out of him. But
wow,
you know.
There's a couple out there that I will watch once in a while because there's a guy Trent Palmer. Who's big drones into the movies and all that fun stuff. That's what he does professionally. But he's also a backwoods aircraft kit building pilot, owns land somewhere in the middle of nowhere and backcountry flying. So it's cool. I like to see what he does. And it's kind of a bridge between a few of my interests. So when I get a little free time, I check in on him. But I know I think he's gotten some calls basically and stuff. So be careful what you're actually putting out on the internet. You have to be careful. You don't really want to be creating the content that is used as evidence against you in a felony case.
And the FAA is out there. If you're doing drone stuff, they are out there watching for videos and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and they won't just find you the first time. They'll contact you. They have no problems contacting you and saying, hey, did you know you did this? And depending on how you answer that, they might push it further or they'll say, okay, just don't do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to learn, like airspace and stuff like this, Class G, Class B, Class C, Class D, all that stuff. And you probably can't go into pretty much any of them, right?
We're supposed to stay under 400 feet no matter what. You're not supposed to fly around airports of any size unless you get permissions. Smaller airports, you can sometimes get permissions for. Helicopter landing pads, it's a tricky one on that. You can either get permissions or just be smart, if you hear something in the air, land. There hasn't actually been a drone to my knowledge that has taken out any kind of aircraft. There's been some that have hit some, and some people in the news will embellish that, make it seem more scary than it actually was, because that's, how news gets their clicks, as we all found out really, really well over the last couple of years. Scare tactics make money, but you do have to have common sense. I mean, they're a lot of fun. A lot of people get so serious and considers themselves pilots, and they're serious about it. Like they're really serious about it. I still think of them as toys. I've had people say I should start making money when I first moved up here because of the real estate up here in the mountains. I live right next to 3 ski resorts. So you got all kinds of really nice homes in the area. And they were like, dude, you should totally just stop. Don't even open the shop. Just go do drone stuff. You're so good at it. And I was like, it wouldn't be fun anymore if I did it for a living. So
I don't know. I get a friend actually that does it, and he makes real good side cash filming things for realtors and stuff like that, or even for private parties that want a better view or aerial view of their home and their land and stuff. And it gets paid.
No, that I've considered.
And we're in an area that's economically depressed, and he's getting good money. So out there, you could probably write your own ticket if you wanted.
Yeah, pretty much. I think there's a couple people out here that do it, but I do have a lot of history doing drones. I started doing drones when, like you said earlier, when they first started. And prior to that, I did RC cars and RC planes. So my whole life, I've just enjoyed RC. So that's how I got into drones. And I think the camera and the editing is what's kept me into them. It's because if you're just flying a drone and you're not editing the footage and doing something with it, it does get a little boring until you get into the FPV where you're fully flying it in the goggles. That's a totally different experience.
Yeah, and I don't watch all your videos. I'm sorry, I just don't have
no worries, dude.
But I do check your channel on a regular basis, and you just started doing those. I mean, like you've kind of ignored those for this long period, and then all of a sudden you got sucked in hard, didn't you?
I did. So when the FPV's goggles were, when I first started drones, they were out there then. You could do it way back then too, but the goggles had such a horrible transmission. Everything's super staticky, and they've come so far since then that now with digital goggles, it's like watching a computer screen. It's that crystal clear, which changes the game for me, especially with needing these nowadays.
All right. So what like while we're sitting out here talking and everything, like what would you say to anybody out there? Because tattooers now are starting to utilize a lot more social media for marketing and whatnot. So you've done it very successfully. So considering tattooing, but also, your drone footage and YouTubing, what would you say are a couple of key critical things that people need to focus on if they want to get a broader market reach? What tricks can they use?
So for Instagram, and I suck at Instagram, but I know all the tricks. I just don't do them. So do what I say, not what I do, kind of thing, right? For Instagram, you want to post at least twice a day. You really want to try to pop out and use those hashtags because they still actually get you found on Instagram. Twice a day, once it's sometime in the morning, once sometime in the early evening. Do that every day for like years, and you will grow. 100% you will grow. There are apps out there that you can schedule post. That's probably what I should do, is use one of those damn apps, sit down and blanket post everything so that it just pops up over the time. But there's plenty of those out there. You can search for those, and those help out considerably. YouTube is a totally different journey. YouTube is also about consistency. I think most social media, to grow on it, is consistency is the biggest thing. The second thing is putting out content for people that you got to figure out who your viewer base is, who you're trying to attract. And if you can narrow that down to a niche, that helps considerably. And so if you are doing it just for tattooing, you already know your niche, right? So now if you really want to go further on that, like, what's your style? What are you trying to push out? If you're doing it tattoo based, are you looking to push out just black and gray, just color? Do you want it to be all kinds of stuff? Because if you push out all kinds of stuff, it's going to grow even slower than if it was just, say, all you pushed out was, this is horrible, generic little feathers, right? Let's say that's all you did. There's a guy out there on Instagram, millions of followers, and he does stick figures. That's all he does. So the smaller your niche, the smaller you put your content, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, anything else, is going to be the faster you get subscribers. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a good community, right? Just because you're growing subscribers fast, it really doesn't mean your community is good. When you build a better community, that's when you're going to get more support. You're going to get more people that come to your studio, more people that share your stuff by building that community. So to me, I find it's better to grow a little slower with the subscribers and build that community than it is to just try to blanket grow. But, to each your own.
Right. Well, I remember when Instagram, was first around or whatever, and there was these apps to buy subscribers. Basically, you could get fake followers and stuff like that. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I would know people that were doing that because the number mattered to them so much. And I was like, I'm like, that doesn't. It's really impressive when you first see it, but it's so shallow and hollow that I
Yeah.
could never do that. And it's like, so well, in the beginning, like every time we would get a new 1,000 subscribers, we'd have to make a post like, thank you, like 5,000 real followers, as opposed to other companies or whatever they may have 50 or 100 that they've paid for. So we've had to break that down to maybe every 5,000 now do we do some sort of heartfelt real thank you. But yeah, there's companies out there that have 10x followers that we do, but our followers are real. They're people
Yeah.
that have interacted with us.
And you can tell too, because a lot of those guys that pay for it, they'll get less views on a video, or they'll get less comments on a picture, and you're like, wait, you have 100,000 followers, that you've only got 100 likes on your picture. That doesn't add up.
Yeah, but the general public doesn't do the math. They're impressed
No,
by that one key number at the top, 1.2 million
and
followers.
you say the general public, but companies are the same way. So with my YouTube channel, I know people who have more followers than me, but I have more views than them, right? So I have 10 million views on YouTube, but I only have almost 28,000 followers. That's a huge ratio on views to subscribers, where I know people who have, say, 60,000 subscribers, but they only have like 3 million views. So it's the companies will see the subscribers, and he'll get all these offers for free products to review them and all this stuff. And I get a lot less offers because my number's smaller on the subscriber base. And views is what really pushes YouTube. Subscribers really mean nothing on YouTube. Your community means everything, and your views mean everything. So if you're working on YouTube, the only number that really matters is hitting that first 1,000 subscribers. And I can't remember how many views you have to have or what the view time has to be. But to monetize, you have to have a minimum now. And so once you hit that, then you really need to just focus on the quality of your content, your consistency, and building that community. That's it. And reaching out to other people who do YouTube, whether it's in the same niche as you or if it's in a different niche. I reach out to different niches all the time. I can't stand being considered just a drone channel, because I'm not a drone channel. I do stuff with GoPros. I tour the Rocky Mountains. I go hiking in the summer. I do mountain biking. I teach about 360 cameras. Occasionally, I even go in and make videos at my tattoo studio. But they're not like how-tos. They're just like what's going on in the shop, who's getting tattooed, and that kind of fun. It's a story. I like to do story-based content that happens to have products in them sometimes too.
Okay, so now do you think having that variety is a pro or a con? Because I have a personal channel too, which is just random crap I do around the house, and then I just added my flying. But like by getting off focus of that niche, do you think that's derogatory? Or?
If you're just starting out, it is a huge con, right? If you're just getting into YouTube, it's really easy to grow your subscriber base when it's niche down. And let's say I know somebody who grew we were at the exact same 1,000 subscribers at the same time. Now he's, I think, at almost 65. I think he just hit 65,000. And we were the exact same, but he niched down to just drones, where I continued doing GoPros and story-based stuff, just myself, right? Whatever I'm doing, I did. And I still got niched to some degree in the drone world, which is you're talking about the tattooing community being really helpful. This community is crazy, like friendly. Everybody looks out. It's a similar kind of feeling, right?
Okay.
And I think YouTube is also. So once you start reaching out and meeting other subscribers, I would definitely recommend don't just reach out to somebody who's got 100,000 subscribers and you're at 100, right? The odds of getting them to work with you is much harder. Reach out to somebody else at the same level as you are. And as you grow, you reach out to the next guy and the next guy. And by reaching out and doing collaborations with them, you learn. It's the coolest thing to go out and film with other people and then watch how they film and then see how they edit it and their end result. And then you're doing it and they see your end result. It's a great learning experience. But back to the niche, If you do, let's say you took your personal channel and you chose one subject and you stayed with it, like my buddy I was talking about drones, he not only did drones, but then when the Mavic Mini came out, he focused just on Mavic Mini for probably a year. And then his numbers spiked even higher.
Because people were looking he was getting the bulk load of viewers that were searching that one topic. That was just,
yeah. So let's say, for example, somebody comes to my channel because they're looking for, let's say, GoPro, right? They have no interest in drones, no interest in mountain biking. Maybe they like snowboarding, who knows? They go to my channel, they're looking at this GoPro video, they're watching it, they go click the channel to see what other videos, and then it's like all this other content. They might watch one or two, but they don't just go, oh, this is all about that, subscribe. Where if my channel was nothing but GoPro and someone was looking to learn GoPro and that's all they saw, they're more likely to hit subscribe. So to get people to subscribe with a wider niche or a wider market, then it becomes to how good is your content, how good is your storytelling, to be able to get them to go, oh, I like this guy, that was fun. That's much, much, much harder to do than just niching down and talking about one subject.
I could see that. I mean, I'm relatively stingy with my subscribes on YouTube. I don't want to subscribe to somebody unless I enjoy the vast majority of what they do.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm probably my own worst customer.
No, but it's true. And another thing, so when you're starting out, you want to make content that's searchable content. So on YouTube, if you're making just tattoo stories or a story of a day of you guys all just hanging out at your shop, right? The odds of somebody finding that video are really small. But if you're making a video and it's about a particular thing like that, someone's searching for it. And that's why you're seeing so many more videos teaching tattooing through YouTube than they used to, because that's searchable content. Where a day at your shop isn't so searchable, right? So if you could break that mold and find something that wasn't teaching, but it's still searchable to do with tattooing, then you could possibly be like in the forefront of something like that, because I don't see a whole lot of that out there right now. But so you do searchable content at first. As you grow, then you can sort of go into just more fun content that's still niched, but it doesn't have to be so searchable, because now YouTube is pushing your stuff. Once you get to a certain point, YouTube actually will push your stuff in their algorithm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're putting good content out there too, as an artist and as a shop, as you build up a large enough library, you can just have your own content rolling on screens in your shop, which is doing a couple things. It's one, it's exposing your clients to the content you want them to see, but two, it's also rolling that timer, that clock on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Number of views and then hours watched. So do you think will that work, or will they just finally?
Oh no, that definitely helps. I mean, you don't get, like, if you're signed into your own account, it doesn't count your views the same way as if you are watching it through somebody else's as well. But like, there's loopers out there, and YouTube has caught on to loopers, and it doesn't give you credit like if you just sit there and let your video loop on your own. Mm-hmm. So you got to be careful. I mean, I don't think you get punished for that, but you got to be careful with some of that stuff, because there are things you can do. Like if you buy subscribers on YouTube and they find out, they'll just ban your account. Mm-hmm. It's funny though that you said that, making people watch that at your shop, because I've definitely had my videos playing. And back before I moved here and I was in a band, I just have my band playlist on and make people listen to my band as I'm tattooing them. It's like, what? You don't like it? You better like that music, buddy. Just you better like good.
Brainwashing. Absolutely. No, but I mean, like, really, why would you, I mean, if you're going to create that content, why wouldn't you want as many views as possible? If you need to assist and kind of force it on people, then, you know, as long as if people aren't complaining about it, then let it roll. Really, why not?
And, you know, where I'm at, I'm in the mountains. All the people that come up here, they're here because of the mountains. So if I'm playing something like that at the shop, I do some that are just drone videos of pretty nature stuff, and there's no talking. It's just music. It's like relaxing stuff. I started a second channel that I sort of ignore now. That's a nature channel that I just go out and I'll set up a camera and put it in like 60 frames a second to just slow it down a little bit, or 120 frames a second. So it could be like water slowed down, and I'll put the water sound effects back in. And it's like 4 hours of just a stream running in the background. So that's something I started a year ago, but then I had my appendix out, so I couldn't go hiking. So that channel just sort of got dropped for a while.
Okay, now that's a whole other. Okay, how do you manage your time? Okay, honestly, because I mean, I know you're high energy, but I mean, okay, the shop and the YouTube channel is one thing, but a whole third channel, that just, no wonder.
Yeah.
Not to say it, but like, no wonder your girl left you. You probably didn't talk to her for 14 months. I mean,
it's funny. That was part of it.
We generally have a tendency to take those we love for granted and neglect them, and I'm guilty of it myself. I think we all are. Anybody that's passionate about anything loses sight on a regular basis. I don't see how you can't. But
so I'm the kind of guy that I'd rather, let's use tattoo conventions as an example. I would rather have a booth working in tattoo convention than just go walk around one anytime, any day. I get nothing out of going to a convention or any kind of thing like that and just walking around it. Even in the band stuff, I go into a show and watching a show. It's fun, but I'd rather be the band working the show or working a merch booth at the show or something, it doesn't feel like work to me. Those things feel like fun to me. So it's really hard for me to flip flop and just be in the crowds because I can't stand this crowd thing. So by having a booth at a convention, I have space. It might be crowded, but I still have that 10 by 10 square that I can get away from everybody.
Well, that, and you're the kind of the center of attention too. I mean, honestly, we're kind of attention whores, I mean, a little bit to some degree.
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, you put yourself on camera at the show. You are in the booth. It's your booth. Hey, look at me. Not only look at me, come give me your damn money. Because I mean, that's just it's how it goes. But I mean, you're a musician. You're on stage. Hey, look at me. You're on camera.
But you're creating. I've always thought of it as I like to be the creator.
You're the creator.
Whatever I'm doing, I'm creating something.
Yeah, I'm not.
I try to entertain.
I'm not. Nothing derogatory about it.
No. I feel you. I feel you.
But it's like you were meant to have eyes on you. You're a creator. You're an entertainer. You're creating content, and you like that. You're good at it, obviously. So it's like me. I love what I do. There's so many nightmares about running businesses, and then a lot of the things I do. Obstacles, we'll refer to them as, but even with all the obstacles and all the challenges and all the problem solving that needs to go on a daily basis, I still love coming to work every day. I still love the people I work with. I still love what I do, to where the challenges, they're just part of it. And they're not even that big a deal because I enjoy those too. I'm the kind of guy that needs a challenge. If everything runs too smoothly, I'm gonna mix something up, or I'll throw something else in the pot just because.
What do they say? Part of the fun is the majority of the fun is the journey, not the destination, right?
Agreed.
Because there's things to overcome on the journey. Once you get there, what do? You just turn on. Then it's over. The excitement, the hustle, everything you're doing to make it happen just stops. So then you figure out a new journey.
Yeah, what the hell do you do at that point? People are like, oh, when you retire, retire, what is this? I'm of the mindset, the day I retire is probably the day I die, if not the day after, because I'm just gonna, just wither away of boredom, I think. So
right. And that's actually where I'm hoping to go with my YouTube channel, because I can't tattoo forever, man. If these things get too much worse, my hand's still steady as can be after 28 years. So I'm not worried about that. But the eyes, that trips me out, having to wear glasses to tattoo. It's the weirdest thing. And this has just been for me just the last couple of years. Yeah. Right. It just all of a sudden came on out of nowhere. I was like, I'm having a really hard time seeing if those lines are connected. What's happening here? And that was the beginning of it. And I think a lot of it was up here in the mountains and having these long winters where we have snow on the ground for 8 months at least. And snow blindness is a real thing. Everything's just so bright because the sun's reflected, everything's white. And I feel like that sped up what was happening because I never wore sunglasses.
No, it's just age, man. I'll be honest with you. Because no, I mean, I've had great vision my entire life, and only in pretty much what you said about the last 2 years, maybe started 3 years ago. I did not help my own situation though, because when I found out I needed readers, I started wearing them when I was reading, but then I would set them down when I wasn't reading. and leave the room, and I wouldn't have them with me. So in order to stop setting them down and forgetting where I put them, I just leave them on my face.
So then you became more
So
reliant on them.
I think I might have strained my eyes a little bit more because I was, too forgetful as to where I put them. But that's just life. What can you do? So, I mean, it doesn't keep progressively getting worse, I don't think, but now I rely on them pretty heavily.
I went to the eye doctor and I got checked out and I was like, okay, give me LASIK, just zap my eyes, do whatever you got to do. And they're like, we're sorry, you have old man eyes now. You can't get LASIK for that. I was like, what?
Me.
I don't care. I'll give you whatever amount of money you need. Zap them. I want my eyes back.
Yeah, it's I mean, and you think about it, we're pretty spoiled. There's guys out there, a lot of our friends that have worn glasses since the beginning. And to them, it's the common, it's the norm or whatever. And we look at it as selfishly, probably as some sort of a handicap that's being forced upon us at some point in time. It feels like
it is
sometimes.
Weird going your whole life having better than 20/20 vision to all of a sudden it's not. And you make a good point. There are lots of people who have dealt with that since they were teenagers, like tattooing their whole time or whatever, and they've been wearing.
And we
glasses.
look like whiny bitches at this point. Think about it, really. I mean, honestly,
when you put them on, when I put them on and I'm tattooing, and everything's so close when you're tattooing. I don't know about you, but I get in there, and with the readers on, I actually, for the shop, I get some that are magnified like crazy, like way more than I actually need. Mm-hmm. Just because, I remember seeing Carrie Barber and she had like this big magnifying glass, and now it all makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Like people who use those magnifying glasses and just tattoo through those. But with these readers that are magnified more than like these, I feel like I'm like bionic vision. I'm like, I can do crazy detail like in such a small space now. Break out that single needle.
I barely tattoo at all anymore. And I will say when I slowed down in the tattooing, I don't know if I subconsciously tattooed even less or pushed people off farther because I was fearing that my tattooing wasn't as good as it was. And it might've been eyesight related. And because only, a couple of years ago, right before COVID, I was doing some tattooing. And that was when I first started wearing the readers, and I decided to wear the readers while I was tattooing because either A, I forgot they were on my face, or B, maybe I had an epiphany and realized it would help. But all of a sudden I was down there and I was like, holy shit, I can see.
Right.
I can see what I'm doing. This isn't as hard as I thought it was, So as I progress into tattooing down the road, I'm going to probably do the same thing you just said, buy a slightly higher magnification, and who knows, maybe I'll become a decent tattooer someday.
Yeah, right. It's like bionic vision. It's like you get steroids in your eyes or something. It's like it's crazy how big everything becomes. But when I look up to see who walks in the door at the shop, I don't know who they are. Everything's blurry from like a foot away. I'm like, wait, okay. I wear them like this, so I'm like able to look at the top, look like an old man.
I do that, and I've tried to bifocals, like the ghetto looking sort of no magnification up top with a little reader at the bottom. And I can't get used to that to save my soul. And not to mention, it makes me look 20 years older. So there's a little vanity in there too, I guess.
I tell you, when I was out visiting my dad, we went to Academy, which is a sporting goods store in Texas. And I'm trying to read the back of something, and I just couldn't read it. And I didn't have any glasses with me. And he was like, hand me that. And his eyesight's worse than me. And I was like, how the hell are you reading that? He was like, I have one contact in. This one's not, so I can see far. And this one's so I can read. And your eyes, I guess, they work like that. And I was like, that's a hell of a smart idea.
That is either brilliant or going to cripple his eyesight even worse. I
have no idea. It's definitely something I'm going to look into, though.
I don't think.
And now we're lucky. We can just Google it and find out if it's real, how good.
And if it's on the internet, it's got to be true, right?
100%, right? Always.
All right. So back to time management. I mean, do you do a little bit of each every day? Do you dedicate tattooing to a few days, or what's your balance? How do you do this and keep your sanity?
the shop hours, and those looking for a job, you might like this. The shop hours are open to the public from 2 to 8. So 6-hour shop open for walk-ins or when somebody wants to walk in. I'm appointment only because I'm so busy. So I'm dealing with emails every morning. I'll do emails every evening. I do emails. Around 1 o'clock, I go to the shop, and I'll usually leave the shop by 9, but it's open 2 to 8. So, I'm doing stuff at the shop and then things after the shop. From like 9 to midnight, I'm editing videos. From after I get up at like 8 in the morning, I'll email and then go out and film a video, and which gives me an excuse to get out of the house, go hiking, go out on a raft, a canoe, a kayak, snowboard down a mountain, because basically the videos are an excuse because I don't do tattoo related videos and they're outdoor videos. They're an excuse to get outside and live life. I just film what I'm doing. And sometimes they're an excuse to go see new places. Like this winter, when the snow starts falling, my plans are to take cameras with me and go to different ski resorts in different towns and explore these towns and share what these towns and these ski resorts look like, as well as still showing the action cameras and the drones. And it forces me to get out and live a little, because otherwise I think I would just be drawing, tattooing, and like in a cave all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where my other channel sort of came about. Was I'm a workaholic. Everybody that knows me knows that. And things were getting neglected around the property. I get a lot of land, take a lot of landscaping, a lot of things that need to be done on a regular basis. And I find if I videotape them, if I'm going to go out and videotape them, I'm more willing to go do them. So, and editing those gives me a new skill set, and it just feeds my brain and my thirst for knowledge. So, but it being something different than I normally do makes it awesome. I mean, it's not my normal in work, dealing with the problems, crunching numbers, looking at spreadsheets, looking to solve problems. It's different problems, which just makes life nice, breaks up some monotony.
Yeah. And if you're like me, you've been doing this 29 years, a year longer than me. There was a point where I was eat, sleep, drink, nothing but drawing and tattooing. I mean, it was my everything, right? And over the years, I found all these other hobbies and I bounced it out, and I feel like I'm more well-rounded because of that, where I was so obsessed with just tattooing that I almost felt like I was missing out on living in other experiences. And so I feel like now doing all this other stuff, it's got me more well-rounded. And it's funny you say that the chores and going out to film, because just buying this house, I've been ignoring everything. Now all of a sudden I have a weed issue. I had the motor to my heater broke in the house.
You're in Colorado and you have a weed issue? Shocking.
Oh my God, like 4 years lived in this house and it was grass. And this year it's nothing but weeds. It's like right when I bought it, everything's just going to crap. But I am planning on making videos of some of this stuff, because like we were going to move out of this house and we had like a hard water soap scum issue on the glass shower door. And we looked everywhere to try to find out how to get rid of that stuff. It wouldn't come off. And this is so different than my channel, but I found a hack that worked, that I came up with, that I couldn't find anywhere else. We tried CLR. We tried everything you can think of out there with grinders and scrubbers. And then I did this one thing and it was like, poof, it just worked instantly. So I'm like, I really should make a video to share that, because like that would help somebody, right? I know it's nothing to do with the other stuff, and that's okay, because like it's still going to help people that might be in that same situation, and that's okay. I think when you're niche down, to throw out something that's way over here is still okay to do on occasion. You got to make the rule of thumb for videos so you don't get YouTube burnout, and that is a real thing, is if you're making 2 for them, make 1 for you.
Okay. Now, once you have gotten to a certain subscriber level, you probably have the freedoms to throw in a little bit more of a different content. I guess I don't see too many people unsubscribing.
No, I mean, you do. Like, I'll put a new video up. Like, so a lot of my drone guys that think I'm a drone channel, because I do make probably more drone content than other content. I'll post up something that has nothing to do with it, like maybe just me snowboarding. It's just me and the friends out snowboarding, having a good old time. And I'll see a drop the first couple of days of subscribers from that video. And then it will grow back up because that video will get found organically through YouTube. And then people into snowboarding will then take those people's places. So there's always, you lose one, you gain two. It's that kind of thing, you know?
Do you get a lot of hate mail? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is like, I'm not sure I quite have, you know me, I speak my mind and I'm not sure I could, I've gotten a couple of rude comments here and there, you know.
You will. So I used to get a lot more rude comments than I do now, but you know, us being tattooers, we got thick skins, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get some really thick skin, especially if you started tattooing in the 90s. I mean, it was a different time period. So you have to get thick skin if you were going to make it through that back then. So these comments and these people that say nasty things on YouTube, every comment, every thumbs down is actually interaction. YouTube sees those as a positive thing, right? So don't ever let the like negative comments bring you down. Don't ever be like, oh, I can't do it. Like, oh, they just make my channel crap.
They make me
have fun with them.
Really. I mean,
Yeah.
I just sort of chuckle because I'm like, I don't have to do this. I do this because I enjoy it. And that's it. That's my entire excuse. But I was like, my comment to him was something like, wow, hey, thanks. I've got my first official hater. I feel successful already, you know, type of thing. That was my response. What is Dave?
You will definitely get them, especially at the beginning for some reason. I don't know why your first 10,000 subscribers, you get more nasty messages than I do now. Like I've got a buddy who's got a lot more subscribers. He gets a lot of nasty messages. I don't know why he gets so many more than I do, but your best thing to do when you get one is usually those people are easy to bait back, is to just get them communicating. Say anything back to them to make them comment again and comment again, even if it's just bashing you worse and worse and worse. Because the more they come back and comment, the more it makes that video show up in the algorithm, the more it helps you, which gets you other people that aren't assholes like that guy.
Awesome. That's encouraging. That's nice, man. So damn it, you were just talking. I had another question and I was like, oh, I gotta ask him. And then the old man syndrome kicked in.
I tell you, like I've really debated adding more stuff because I can't do separate channels is hard. It's so hard to like turn your mind and say, okay, I know I need to niche and do this separate channel. Like realistically, if I wanted to just do my channel as a drone channel and another channel as a snowboard channel, both of those channels would probably have grown faster with subscribers than what mine has. But I like what I do for a living. Like tattooing is awesome. So, you know, I do love it. Sometimes it feels like a job after 28 years, but after 28 years, I still really enjoy it. You know, the best part for me has been being grounded again and doing, you might laugh, your viewers might laugh if they get to this point in the video, but sometimes from doing large sleeves and big back pieces and whatever, I'm at a point now where I hate to say prefer, but I really enjoy doing these little souvenir tattoos where these people are up here because they're amazed by the mountains and they get like a little $150 mountain and they are just glowing afterwards. And they're just, they love it and they're so happy. And it's like a photograph that's permanently put on them for this memory of them coming up here on this vacation. And that joy that they have spewing out of them is contagious.
Yeah, no. And I got to that point years and years ago where like, I didn't want to do backs or sleeves anymore, legs. People disappear, you know, they lose their jobs, they move out of state, they die, they whatever, you know, there's always an excuse not to come back, or, you know, it's so much unfinished large scale work out there that just gets mentally frustrating. Cause you were, you know, at one time so psyched and excited to be putting this piece together. And then it just, you know, it ended. Who knows why? Just ended.
I've got so many pieces out there that are unfinished. I have no idea. I had a guy who came back 3 years later. I hadn't seen him for 3 years. I think it was a sleeve. I can't remember. This is back when I lived in California. Shows back up out of nowhere. Hey, I'm ready to continue. I'm like, where the heck you been? Jail. You know? Yeah. Like, and now we got to redo all the old stuff because it's all faded and crappy looking from the sun. Because of course this guy didn't take care of it in jail. You know, yard time, whatever. But you know, it's crazy. Out of all the pieces that I haven't finished that are big, there's one that I wish I had. and it's not even an original, right? It's from a t-shirt design. It's from a video game called Zelda, if you're familiar with Zelda.
Oh yeah.
And there's a t-shirt with a stained glass of the princess and Zelda, and it's the Toon Link from Wind Waker. And we did it on this entire guy's back, and we were coloring it. And he's gone. He's probably not even like an eighth of the way done. His outline, and there's a couple little patches of color, and it would have been so cool to see it finished.
Well, hopefully he's watching. Hopefully he just somehow randomly has this pop up on his recommended viewing, and he watches it and he gets in touch with you next week.
But that's the thing too, Mark, is like, it is a job. And a lot of newer tattooers, you probably did the same thing. When I first started trying to do my own style, you pretty much give things away to do your own style. Or at least in the 90s, you had to, because we didn't have social media. You'd have to draw your own pictures and hang them on the wall. So when someone comes into the studio, they'd see them, because there was no other way for them to see them. And you would do discounts and you'd hook people up. Nowadays, you've been doing it and you're so busy, like, as much as you want to do that piece and finish that piece, you got to pay the light bill. So you can't just give things away to finish cool stuff, you know?
No, I mean, you hook up friends and family. You know, there'll always be those people that get taken care of, but the rest of the world needs to realize that this is how we eat. You know, I've become accustomed to eating over the years. I enjoy it, and
right.
I just remembered what I wanted to ask you. Is, do you have any help, like with your channels at all? I
am solo. I film, I edit, I do all the promotion, I do all the reaching out, I return to all the emails. It's a lot of work.
Well, I mean, but that adds to your success too, just the personal touch of it.
And you know, the hard part, I've debated looking into having someone edit, because that's the most time consuming part. I think it takes an hour or two to edit about a minute's worth of footage, you know?
Well, that's the thing, is like, I wouldn't have my personal channel, and my personal channel, I don't ever plan on growing or getting anywhere probably, but it's a side thing that I did to understand YouTube better myself. And to learn editing and all that. I just need to know. But with this channel, you know, I've got Gabe and Fernando that, you know, help with that. And then another one of our guys that helps with the editing of he's a journalist by, you know, that's his formal education. So I've got other people that help put these together. If not, I would never find the time to do this. So that's just one more thing that just makes you impressive. God damn it. But seriously, my hat's off to you, because you're doing it all alone and you're doing it well. So,
well, the editing is what I feel is the creative part. I mean, obviously filming is too, but editing it and putting that vision together and trying to make it entertaining. And that's, like I said, that's what I'm trying to do with mine. Is I'm trying to do more and more story-based content. That way, no matter what the subject is, it's entertaining. Even if you're like, oh, I don't really care about a shower door, learning how to get soap scum off it. But if I can make it in a way that from the moment you click it, you're like, oh, that's sort of fun to watch. Let's see how this guy gets his soap scum off his door. Then it's a success. Then, you know,
right.
It's
well, not only
much harder to do.
But somebody might learn something, and you're going to help them solve a problem. Awesome.
Yeah, and I've actually I did a speech. I was actually I go to this convention for drones called Spin Up, and not last year, it was closed because of COVID last year, but the year before, they actually hired me to come and give a speech about how to do videos for YouTube. And that was the first time I've ever done public speaking like that, and it was incredibly nerve-wracking, but so satisfying, because at the end, it was a successful speech, and it helped a lot of people with like furthering their channels and how to edit and make their videos more interesting. So seeing all these people like grow from that was so satisfying. So I've actually considered, when time allows, branching off and doing a few more videos here and there on the channel showing how to edit, or how I edit, at least how I film, and not necessarily how to grow your YouTube channel, because there's a lot of channels out there that spew the same thing over and over again on how to do that. And some of them are right to some degree, but I think a lot of them just spew the same thing just because it's like talking points. But the process, the filming and the actual editing and how to make your stories better and how I do what I do, I think could be beneficial for people who want to use it for any subject matter, whether it be the same kind of subject matter I do, or tattooing or whatever.
Well, and people got to realize too, we're talking about YouTube and you've obviously been very successful on YouTube, but the other social medias are finally starting to realize the power of video, and that a lot of the things that are applicable in YouTube can be used now in putting together shorts for Instagram or Facebook videos and things like that. So,
well, YouTube has shorts now too. I have a short that went viral and has over 4 million views. And it's crazy. It took literally 7 seconds to film, and there's no editing to it or anything. It's absolutely insane. You can't make any money off of shorts on YouTube. Like, you can actually at some point make money off of TikTok. I think you can on Instagram. I'm not quite sure how Instagram, I never really dedicated a whole lot of time to Instagram. Like, I just use it as sort of a place to slap up pictures, like you would think that my channel, but not my channel, my Instagram would be covered in tattoos, but I don't post a lot of tattoos to my Instagram.
Well, I mean, if you have a line of people at your door every day, you probably not going to work on marketing that as much as if you needed the money or you needed the people in the door. So you've kind of got a fire hose pointed at you for tattoos as it is. So why would you draw much more attention to yourself? Unless, of course, you get 3 to 5 nice artists in there and you can feed them.
Well, that would be nice, because if I do ever hire out like that and I get a crew, or family like that, that would free me up to say, okay, I don't have to tattoo as much. Let me take my time, and I'll take all this knowledge I've learned on YouTube and let me create a channel on the shop, and I'll promote everybody in the shop and do it that way. And I think I would kill it with that. But again, right now, there's no way. Like, I am tapped on my time right now. I don't have much extra.
All right. Well, we're brainstorming on a solution for that right now.
Yeah, so, we get a crew. We get the right guys. When you want to live in the mountains near Keystone, Breckenridge, and all that stuff in Colorado,
in a weed-friendly state, people. But
I
always
forget it. You were talking about that kind of weed earlier. Whoosh, right over my head.
Over, yeah,
it did.
But for the record,
I
did watch your spin up speech in its entirety when it first came out too. So
nice.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. I'll steal every little tidbit I can, and I'm going to watch your videos before I go searching for others, because, well, I know you. I've known you for a long time. I trust you. I value your opinion. So, I'm going to pick your brain.
That,
I'm going to pick your brain after we get off the air on this, on the GoPro thing, because I forgot you used them so much. I'm having an overheating issue in these aircraft sometimes. So, different topic. We won't touch on that at all right now. But yeah, so. I mean,
with all the success I'm having with this, I was really surprised that those skins I was making, I thought those were going to just blow up, man, like the bloody skins. And people were like, ooh, they're bloody. And I was like, wait, I thought tattooers liked horror, right?
That's something, it's an awesome product. I think it's going to be a little troublesome to find the right way to market it. If it's presented, it's all about presentation. You know that. I mean,
but the conventions, it did well. I did sell a ton of them live at the conventions when people could see them and stuff. And, I started making the ones without the blood and the gore, because at conventions, people were so grossed out by the blood and the gore, and apprentices would come up and be like, hey, do you have any cheaper ones? These are, really expensive. And they were meant to be expensive.
Chinese ones.
Well, I ended up making the non-bloody ones, and they were a fraction of the price of the bloody ones, but the bloody ones were a lot of work. I mean, those were all handmade by me. They weren't like shipped out, and you couldn't just have somebody make them. Like, that was, to teach someone to make those would have been a process and a skill. You'd have to sort of have an eye for it.
Yeah. I didn't even consider them bloody. I just like the way you pulled the shallow veins and capillaries through them.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know. I thought they were cool as hell. It's like I said, it's a marketing thing. You got to find.
Well, you sold out of them, right?
I think
you guys don't have any left, do you?
I think we have 2 of them downstairs, 2 huge ones. One that's like 11 by 14 or 11 by 17, and one that was like really large heart shape. I think we have 2 of them.
Oh, I remember
on
that.
The shelf. And the only reason I think they're sitting here is, to be honest with you, is we brought them home from a show and never put them on the site. I think they just honestly went on the site like a week or 2 ago for the,
You know,
for
I
the
had
first time.
somebody buy 4 of the 11 by 14 bloody ones, not to tattoo. He used them as placemats, like for his table. Like he had these bloody veiny
Is the
skin
guy
slabs. Like
is
this,
the guy a cannibal, like eating the
I
neighbor's
don't know.
children or something, and it was just appealing? I don't know. That's
I don't know. So I mean, they tattooed easier than some of the other products out there. That was my goal, is to make them easier to tattoo than some of these other products out there. And the bloody ones were to be just because they were really cool to hang on the wall, right? You could put nails in them and make them look like they looked like someone just chopped someone's skin off and just ripped it off, you know?
well, yeah. You put
Um,
you apply a nice tattoo to it, and it becomes a work of art. It's a
yeah.
presentation piece for
Well,
sure.
that's why the ones without blood became cheaper, just so that apprentices and stuff could sort of practice. You wouldn't really practice on the nice ones. Like they were expensive. I'll give
Yeah,
that.
but at the same time, it's like I've tried not to appeal to the I will say Walmart clientele. I've just never done
Yeah.
that. I've always I'm not going to sacrifice something for quality for cost. I try my hardest not to ever do that. There are people always like, well, I can buy these needles for this much money from here, and go ahead. Go ahead, give them your money. I have zero problems with that at all. Just like I try and maintain a certain standard. And if I had a ton of free time and I had to cater to that crowd for the money, my thought process might be a little bit different, but I've always tried to cater to what I'll call the working professional. And I don't
Yeah.
consider the people that are looking for the cheapest products out there to be necessarily professional. So
No, I feel you totally. Well,
and
that's
then
why with the other ones, you just get rid of the blood. It was still a high quality product. It just didn't take me hours and hours to make. So able to
well,
take the cost down.
if you just stop sleeping a couple hours a night, you could make.
Yeah, that works. I really debated trying to like set up again and make them. I still have everything to do it. I got everything in the garage, but to really promote them correctly, either one, I have to go out to conventions now again, which means the shop closes. And I'm so busy at the shop, I just can't. It doesn't make sense to go promote my shop and myself and turn off all that money there to maybe break even.
No,
right?
you're intelligent. You're going to prioritize these things. Either you get a shop going and you get an apprentice making them in the back room for fun and profits, or there's all different angles to.
Well, the
Find
second thing
yourself
would
some
be
less
to get
expensive labor.
people like yourself and other companies to supply it. And I worked with you, but I never really pushed myself to get out there to the other supply companies and get them supplied everywhere. And I think that's where I screwed up.
Well, also too, you got to remember, as a supplier and a distributor of tons of products, I've got to spend my time, energy, and money on marketing my products.
Yeah.
Our brand names, our in-house products. We do market other people's products. You'll see Instagram posts or whatever here and there, but we can't focus on that. We need the manufacturer of the products to put some money and time into marketing, because if not, I'm paying for the marketing and research and development for your success. So like, we'll assist, but the bulk of it's got to be done by the manufacturer.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And I'm at a point now though, like even with all I've learned on YouTube, say if that ever comes back to be, the videos you could make with those would be so much fun.
Oh yeah.
It's like a channel just dedicated to that. That alone.
You can always swing back to it. Nobody else has tried to rip it off since, at least not till tomorrow, because we've discussed it. So
I don't know if it was one that someone would want to rip off, because it was really time extensive to make. And you and I talked a bit about my process at one point. It's not something you could just easily mass produce.
Well, you could. It's just you need cheap labor, which is overseas, and you need somebody who's either creative and cheap, which doesn't happen a lot.
Don't tell everybody else how to do it.
Or you need somebody who's easily trained, can be taught in a very sequential, time.
And if you're watching this, don't listen to Mark. You don't want to do it. It's too much work. You don't want to do it.
Oh no, it is. I wouldn't want to do it. No, I'm purely speaking as like, this is, in order to do it inexpensively, it would have to be done overseas. There's no way around it. You can't get
But you
Americans
only,
to wear
as you
suits.
said, you only have so much time in a day, and you have to pick what battles you want to go down, because that could be like something, but then you'd have to be dedicating so much time to just that, and then something else has to suffer from that.
Well, I mean, the big ones were retailing for what, 150, 160, something like that.
The big ones were, yeah, the small ones were $50 for the
That's
bloody
not a
ones,
cheap
$20 for the
product,
no.
you know, but I mean, a lot of time went into it, so it's justified.
But you think like a big canvas is also not that cheap, and there's nothing to the canvas. The canvas alone isn't just a piece of art on its own. You got to do something to it. Where these, in my opinion, were a piece of art from the get-go.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
before you tattooed them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you
somebody
use them
did
as
buy them as
placemats.
placemats, right? Anyways,
All right.
you want to ask me anything else about YouTube?
Oh man, I probably got a million questions for you personally, but I'm sure people are probably either getting tired of both of our voices by now, or if anybody's even watching at this point. But this is not like a typical talk, because there's not a whole lot of tattooing going on. Just trying to catch up and pick each other's brains a little bit. But anybody that is still watching, get a hold of Sean if you're interested in working in a really cool environment. I'll tell you what, he's a nice guy. I mean, he's pretty laid back. He's intelligent. He's obviously creative. He's successful. I don't see this being a slave-driven type of a shop environment. So if you're not a total jerk, then look him up and maybe try and just go do a guest spot. Who knows where that leads to somewhere down the road. We will put your information in the description below so people can check it out. I'll also link to your channel, because you do some awesome videos, man. It's like
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It's easy to get lost on YouTube, and it's easy to get lost on a channel with good content. You know, even if you're not even interested in the subject matter. I mean, I used to ski 30 plus years ago. I don't ski. I never snowboarded, but I can watch some of your snowboarding videos just because they're well done, and I can enjoy them, and I can get sucked into the next one and the next one. And it's about you. It's about your storytelling, your video, and your editing. And I wish you the best, man. You've already gone 6 times to 7 times the number when we first started talking, and that's congratulations, man. That is totally
Thank you, man.
Awesome.
I definitely appreciate that, and it's interesting. It's really cool hearing that from someone that knows you, because I find people that know you have a harder time watching your videos and your content than someone that doesn't know you. Because somebody that doesn't know you, they build this persona based on the video, but somebody that knows you can be like, you know.
Well, it's kind of like TikTok to me, man. I can't do TikTok. We have a channel that Fernando handles it and does a bunch of stuff like this, but like if I open up TikTok, I just lose 2 hours of my day laughing, and I'm no smarter as to how to do it successfully. So it's just like, to me, it's this black hole for time and productivity that I have it on my phone, but I just can't go down that rabbit hole, or I don't know. I'm hoping others have the same problem. If not, you know,
I can't get into most of the content that's on TikTok. Like, I don't find most of it funny. I have 2 friends that are my age that just found out what TikTok was, and we have a group chat, and they're sending me links to TikToks, and they're laughing their asses off, and I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I ignored it for the longest time. I honestly thought it was the people I knew who were using it and watching and creating content on it were soccer moms blowing off steam. You know, open a bottle of wine, say or do something stupid, and then, you know, for 14 seconds, and that was that. And I was like, I have no need to watch this. I have no need to partake.
Right.
And then Fernando, my marketing guy here, he's like, you got to look at it. You got to check it out. I put it on my phone, and sure enough, you know, 2 hours of my day gone. And I'm like,
no,
bitch.
And for those who aren't familiar with TikTok, most videos are like under 30 seconds. So for 2 hours of your day, that's a lot of video watching.
Yeah. And it just, you know, it just leads you from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's the algorithms and what they present to you is brilliant, because if you watch something, it immediately starts presenting anything you spend any time on. It's way better than YouTube. YouTube, if I log into YouTube now, it constantly shows me the same 12 recommended videos. I'll refresh the screen 100 times and maybe one will change once in a while. I'm like, no, I'm refreshing the screen because I want different options. It's like, I think that algorithm's broken. TikTok is just constantly assaulting you with things that are similar to what you looked at before. It's brutal. Like I refuse to open the app. I probably should just delete it.
That's so funny. Yeah, I've got a TikTok. I've posted a couple videos, but I haven't really put a lot of time into it.
Oh, it would become a whole other job, man. Who's got time for that?
Right.
But we should cut this short. We've been running quite a while here, but what do you have anything else you want to say? You want to drive people to your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, give people the
No,
the
I mean,
info, and we'll link it below.
So the YouTube channel has just recently changed from my name, Sean Ozz, to World of Oz, which is actually what I used to go by when we first met at those conventions back in the day. And I stopped using that for years. And I have now like, it works. I'm bringing it back because the channel is sort of my inclusive world of what I do and who I meet and what I'm doing. So it just made sense. So if you search World of Oz or even Sean Ozz on YouTube, it'll pop up. And also, honestly, I think you can search Instagram or any of those things for Sean Ozz and they all pop up. I think I'm the only Sean Ozz out there. So hopefully.
Yeah, we could.